Hello everyone, welcome back to our cost accounting classes, and this week we're gonna finish chapter 12 and chapter 19 if you're using the newest edition, but if you're using 14th edition there will be chapter 13 and chapter 19. Okay, so both of these chapters are talking about a balanced scorecard, but from different perspectives. Okay, so before we start, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is our homeworks and our class participations. Okay, so not really about the class participations, I mean the discussion on the forum itself, but what I'm saying is that when you are doing your homework, please be careful, and I hope everyone could read the chapters or go through the slides more carefully. Okay, one thing that we didn't spend enough time, or we didn't spend too much time on over the last several video clips is the formulas, equations, right? Because my theory is that using this online teaching style is really it's really not convenient to go over all these methods or models, because really it's very tedious, and also it's if we spend too much time on that, you will be getting bored very quickly. So even though it's not covered on its entirety, I would suggest you go through those models and equations more carefully, because you do need to use those models and equations to solve problems. Okay, but it is one of the easiest part of this course, because it's open book and you can always find those resources and whenever you want and whenever you need them. Okay, so I don't want to spend much time on explaining those equations, because it's just a formula, all right? But the concepts behind all of these formulas is more important, because you're gonna know when to use what equations and for what purpose, right? So that is part of the discussion or important topics we need to cover or summarize in the videos. All right. So when it's come to problem solvings, please be careful and read more carefully on those equations. Okay, so at least you need to find the right equations to use to solve the problems. Otherwise your strategies, your decisions are going to be not accurate as it's supposed to be. All right, so now let's start on chapter 12. Okay, now let's start on chapter 12. So chapter 12 is on strategy, balance scorecard, and strategic profitability analysis. Basically, this chapter, we're going to start introducing balance scorecard, but this chapter, the balance scorecard is mostly focused on the strategic analysis. Okay, so how we use, or how can we utilize balance scorecard, this type of techniques to help us to promote strategies or to develop strategies and implement strategies. All right, so first, here is our learning objectives. Okay, we're gonna recognize the two generic strategies a company is using and understand what compromises re-engineering, and understand the forward perspective of the balance scorecard. Okay, and then analyze changes in operating income to evaluate the strategies. Okay, so identify unused capacity and how to manage it. Okay, so these are the topics we're going to talk about, and also it is the flow of how to implement a balance scorecard and what it's used for. All right. So strategy. So basically, if we're using balance scorecard to talk about strategies in terms of developing strategies and implementing strategies, then the first thing is, what are actually strategies, right? The first question we need to understand is, what are strategies? And here are some definitions from the book. Okay, strategy specifies how an organization matches its own capabilities with the opportunities in the marketplace to accomplish its objectives. And strategies describes describes how an organization can create value for its customers while differentiating itself from its competitors. And then a thorough understanding of the industry is critical to implementing a successful strategy. Industry analysis focuses on 5 forces. So basically, strategies are kind of the operational plans of a company that to achieve its performance goals, right? So how do we what actions, what course of actions we need to take to gain more market share, to increase customer satisfaction, and ultimate goal is to increase profitability, right? So this is what a strategy is, and to able to implement an effective strategy, then we have to understand the nature of the industry, because you need to understand what this industry is all about, and then you can actually design your own strategies, right? Otherwise, it's gonna be come out from nowhere, and there's no route to support or to support your strategies, and more than likely it's not gonna be successful, right? So these are the strategy. The concept of strategy. And one thing about the industrial analysis is 5 forces. So what are 5 forces? If you're taking, or if you have taken some marketing classes, and you sort of know what 5 forces are, right? So it's Porter's 5 forces. It distinguishes and describes the number and the strength of competitors and potential entrants to the market, and availability of equivalent products, and the bargaining power of customers, and the bargaining power of input suppliers. So these are the 5 elements. These are 5 forces. Okay, these are the 5 forces, and oftentimes these 5 forces come along with SWOT analysis. Okay, SWOT analysis. So these are some elements that you have mutual elements in both of these things, and we're looking at sort of a similar thing and similar concepts across these 2 different analyses. Okay, so first, how many competitors we have, and how strong they are in terms of competing against us over the market shares, right? And do we have a potential entrance to the market? Do we have new competitors probably gonna entering into the market in the future? And if so, and what are they going to be like? And how what is their strength, right? What is potentials and availability of equivalent products? Do we have any substitutes for our own products? If so, then how do we distinguish our products with between our products and the substitutions, right? And the bargaining power of customers is for us, is this a buyer market or is it a seller market, right? Do we have any power on the market to set price or to negotiate or bargaining with our customers? If not, what strategies we should use to change the course of actions or to regain our competitiveness, all right? And the last one is bargaining power of input suppliers. Basically, this last one is talking about the relationship with our suppliers, right? So in the market, in this industry, are we a big company that we have a lot of power in terms of suppliers relationship? Okay, things like Costco, right? Costco have a lot of suppliers that restock their products in their stores, right? But in terms of Costco, it has a really strong bargaining power with their suppliers. They decide which products, which companies can get into their stores, can put their products on the shelves, and not like Walmart or some other retailers, okay, so to speak, because Costco really, it is a very successful wholesaler and in this industry. So every company fighting over each other to get their products into Costco, and so Costco in this scenario, they has a stronger bargaining power with their suppliers. If they don't satisfy Costco's needs or by their standards, probably they're gonna just kick them out and to easily replace it by some other brands or products, okay, so to speak. And this is the 5 forces that we analyze when we think about strategies. Okay, and so what are the 2 basic business strategies, right? So first is the product differentiation, and that is a strategy that is an organization's ability to offer products or services perceived by its customer to be superior and unique relative to product and services of its competitors. So the advantage of product differentiation is it can create a stronger brand loyalty and the willingness of customers to pay a higher price for premium services or premium features. Okay, so there are some examples. Okay, so when it's come to airliners, okay, we have Delta, United Airlines, American Airlines here in the States. Those are the 3 legacy airliners. Okay, but there's one airliners in Asia. It's called Singapore Airline. Okay, Singapore Airline. So this is a picture of Singapore Airlines first class. Okay, basically you have a queen size. If it's not king size, it's a queen size of bed. You can literally, it's kind of like a suite, hotel suite on an airline. Okay, on an airline. And here is the first class of, I think it's from United Airlines. Okay, you can see the difference, right? You can see the difference here. So basically, this is feature is a differentiate features of Singapore airliners with their potential competitors on the international market. Okay, so another example is, I don't know if you know this brand. It's called Lush. Okay, Lush is a cosmetic companies. Okay, they offer handmade cosmetics, and their competitors, not really their competitors, but there are some other cosmetic stores like Sephora on the market, but really Lush, they are offering products that are handmade, they are environmental friendly, and in terms of those kind of features, and they offering something to make customers to feel like they are high quality, and as a matter of fact, it is really a high quality, so it's very expensive, right? So customers are willing to pay an actual amount of actual dollars to enjoy or to utilize those premium features. All right, so those are the product differentiation examples in terms of real business. And the second strategy is called cost leadership. Cost leadership is an organization's ability to achieve lower costs relative to competitors through productivity and efficiency improvements, eliminations of waste, and the tight cost control. So the advantage of cost leadership is offering a lower selling price, and it's competitive. It's very competitive, actually. So one of the most famous example of cost leadership is Walmart. Okay, Walmart, and Walmart is one of the cost leadership. And there are some other examples here like McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's in fast food. Okay, so we have a lot of fast food for burgers like Five Guys, Burger King, McDonald's, and some other brands like I cannot really think of that off top of my head right now. But we have a lot of stores. Okay, but McDonald's is really one of the cheapest one, right? It's like $1 for a burger sometimes. Okay, and IKEA in terms of furniture industry, IKEA really is a cost leader. You cannot really spend like $100 to get the similar quality of furnitures anywhere else but IKEA, right? But IKEA. And for airliners, Southwest is a cost leadership because of low-cost airliners. Remember that from 235 class? Okay, we did an example when it's come to job order costing, right? So those are the low-cost airliners. All right. So this is the 2 basic business strategies. One is product differentiation. Second is cost leadership. Okay, cost leadership. All right. So Next is re-engineering. So re-engineering, it is the fundamental rethinking and redesign of business processes to achieve improvements in critical measures of performance such as cost, quality, service, speed, and customer satisfaction. Re-engineering is the redesign of business process to improve performance by reducing cost and improving quality. And re-engineering basically is we are redesigning the operating process in the company, and it doesn't really happen very often. Okay, so once you set up your business model and it just keep it consistent, right? You don't change your business models from day 1 to day 2 and then change it constantly like every other day, right? It doesn't make sense. So only comes to that company is shifting their strategies, okay? Only comes to when company is shifting their strategies, they're shifting their focus, they're shifting their target markets, okay, target customers. Then they have to reconstruct all of their business models to fit in their goals and their strategies and visions and missions, okay, all these things. Otherwise, you don't see re-engineering happens a lot of time. That makes sense? All right. So implementation of strategies. Okay, this is a general process. Okay, many companies have introduced a balanced scorecard to track process and manage the implementation of their strategies. A useful first step in designing a balanced scorecard is a strategy map. And then a strategy map is a diagram that describes how an organization creates value by connecting strategic objectives in explicit causal relationship with each other in a financial, customer, internal business process, and learning and growth perspective. Okay, so when it comes to strategies implementation, we need to figure out, or we want to have as detailed as possible perspectives in terms of strategies. Okay, our strategies, for example, is product differentiation strategy, and how do we achieve this goal in terms of financially, in terms of customers, in terms of business operations, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we want to describe this, or we want to break down this strategy as detailed as possible, and then we can measure all these performance, and then in order for us to work all these elements toward the same goal, right? Provide a product that has differentiated features to attract more loyal customers. That makes sense? Okay, so those are the basic steps. Okay, we want to implement strategies, and it's better to use balanced scorecard, because balanced scorecard break down the whole company's strategies into 4 general elements or 4 general directions, and in each directions we have different measures to help us to evaluate the performance and whether we achieve the specific goals, and so to speak. All right. So the first thing is the strategy map. Okay, strategy map. And here we have this strategy map, and we have it's sort of color coded, and we have these different causal links and different elements in there. Okay, so let's go through this different elements one at a time. All right. So there are 5 types of conditions to consider in a structural analysis. So basically, what are the 5 types of elements in this strategic map? Okay, strategy maps. All right. So first is strength of ties. Ties are the causal links between strategic objectives and can be qualified as strong, moderate, or weak. So if you see this link, okay, if you see this link, these are ties. These are ties. And in terms of strong, moderate, or weak, it means if these 2 objectives have a strong causal relation or not. Okay, if these 2 have any 2 of these objects have causal relationship, whether it's a strong, weak, or moderate. Okay, so you see this a thick link, that means these two have a strong causal link. Okay, these two have a strong causal link. If you see this thin link, that means it has a moderate causal link. It has a moderate causal link. And here you see the dot link. Okay, the dot line here, it says these two objects have a weak causal link. Okay, has a weak causal link. And here that this is cause and this is the results. Okay, this is the results. All right, and these two have a strong link. Right, and second is orphan objectives. An orphan objective is a strategic objective with only weak ties leading out of it to other strategic objectives. If you see here, this has a weak link right here, have a weak link, and this follow-up service call, it is an orphan objective to improve post-sales service. Okay, post-sales service. So what it means is that even if we delete this objective, it doesn't really affect the overall strategies very much. Okay, it has only a marginal effect in terms of the strategies as a whole. All right, as a whole. So you can keep it here. It has no problem. Okay, it's no problem with that. But if you delete this, also it doesn't really affect your overall strategies at all. All right. So because it only has a weak causal link here. All right. And the third is focal points. A focal point is a strategic objective that has many other links funneling into it. Okay, so focal points. For example, here we have this improved manufacturing business process. It has so many links coming in and coming out, right? So that is the focal point. It has so many connections with other objectives. So that is the focal point, okay? It can either come into this specific focal point, but also they can also go out from this, starting from this focal point to other objective, okay? So as long as it has many relations with other objective, that is a focal point. It is the most important objective in terms of company strategy. Okay, so for example, we here have this improved manufacturing quality and productivity. Okay, and all these are or this increased customer satisfaction. Okay, these are the focal points, the most important objective in terms of the strategy. All right, and then fourth one is trigger points. A trigger point is a strategic objective where many ties spur out from it, resulting in achievement of many strategic objectives. So for example, improve manufacturing and business process. That is a trigger point because it is a strategic objective that has many ties spur out of it, right? It has so many so many ties spurred out of it. Okay, so that is the trigger objective for all these objectives. Without this improving manufacturing and business process, we cannot achieve these objectives. So that is the trigger point. Okay, and that is most exciting and most interesting objective because it is the very critical elements of the strategy. Okay, of your strategy. And then the last one is distinctive objectives. That is strategic objective that distinguish an organization from its competitors based on the organization's strategy or distinctive objectives. And this is represented by this capitalized letter D. Okay, so these two are the distinctive objectives in terms of this company in example. Okay, so improve manufacturing quality and productivity and reduce delivery time to customers. And these two are the distinctive objective to improve customer satisfaction and to differentiate our product or our services from our competitors' services or products, so to speak. All right. So from this, you really can see that how company strategies and how the elements of within the strategies are connected with each other and connecting the dots and to becoming a full strategy picture. Okay, a full picture of the strategy. All right. So these strategies are also based off on the balance scorecard. Okay, the balance scorecard. And why is that? Let's see. All right. So the balance scorecard translates an organization's mission and strategy into a set of performance measures that provides the framework for implementing its strategies. Okay, how we implement our strategies. Balance scorecard is an easy way for us to help us to implement strategies. Okay, not only does the balance scorecard focus on achieving financial objectives, it also highlights the non-financial objectives that an organization must achieve to meet and sustain its financial objectives. And the balance score measures an organization's performance from 4 perspectives. All right, 4 perspectives. So these are the 4 perspectives: financial, customer, and internal business perspective, learning and growth. Okay, so we look at this each one separately. Okay, so financial, very intuitive, right? The financial profitability or profits goals, right? Profits and value created for shareholders. Okay, the owners of the business, right? So what are this? So in terms of strategy map, we have these 4 level or 4 elements of balance scorecard. First one is financial perspective. Okay, financial perspective, and that is right here, the top. Okay, operating income, right? So basically, it's the financial goals, right? And how do we achieve that? And we through all these things, right? Through all these objectives. Okay, and the customer is to have the success of the company in its target market, how to satisfy or how to please our customers, right? To retain customer loyalty and to increase customer satisfaction. Okay, and that is in terms of strategy map. It is the second level. All right, it is the second level. And then is the internal business perspective, internal operations that create value for customers. Okay, so we trace it back to here on the map, strategy map. All these elements have causal relationship with customer satisfaction. If we increase all these things, and whether either directly or indirectly, we can contribute to a higher customer satisfaction. All right, and then last thing is learning and growth, right? Learning and growth, the people and systems capability that support operations. Okay, so learning and growth, the internal training and the internal organizations growing. Okay, all these things, how we can maintain a high quality employees and with a higher knowledge level and with sophisticated knowledge of in terms of producing products or training employees, and so to speak. Okay, and how these can have a causal result in terms of product quality improvement and customer service, improving customer service quality, and to increase customer satisfaction. All right, so when we start this strategy map, where do we start first? Okay, we usually start with the bottom, right? The learning and growth perspective. Okay, and then we build off on each other and get to the top, because these are the fundamental elements which can have a causal relationship with the next step or middle ground strategies, objectives, and then contribute to the higher level and to the fundamental level, which is the financial goals. Because for business, really hard to say, but the cold-blooded truth is that at the end of the day, our success is only measured by one measure, which is profitability, right? How much market share we have and how much profits we earn every year, right? Compared to our competitors and compared to other industries, so to speak, right? So these are the 4 perspectives of balance scorecard. We have financial, customer, internal business perspective, learning and growth. So basically, our strategies in terms of balance scorecard, our strategies focusing on these 4 elements, and then at the end of the day, these 4 elements together will help us to achieve our ultimate financial goals. All right, financial goals, and these 3 are non-financial measures. The last 3, customer, internal business perspective and learning and growth, they really are not financial measures or financial perspective or financial elements. No, they are not. The only financial measures is the first one, financial elements, okay? Profits and value created for shareholders, okay? That is the only financial measures, okay? And so particular measure a company uses to track performance will depend on its strategy, and of course it makes sense, right? So what are those four financial elements, okay, and what are detailed measures and how to measure that, okay? So there are some detailed examples, okay? So financial measures, it evaluates the profitability of the strategy and creation of a shareholder value, okay, and uses the most objective measures in scorecard, okay? The objective and the other three perspective eventually feed back into this dimension, okay? Because that is financial is the top goal, right? And the other three are kind of supporting strategies, okay? Or supporting activities. So strategic objective, financial perspective, how to measure that, okay? How to measure that? The measure is grow operating income, okay? Grow operating income, and grow operating income. Grow operating income and increase shareholders' value, okay? To increase operating income, then we are able to increase shareholders' value, right? Because really, remember, shareholders' value is through investment in a company, and from company side perspective, it is to earn net income and have retained earnings and distribute dividends to their shareholders, right? And through that, it can grow shareholders' value. And measures here is operating income from productivity gain and in operating income from growth and revenue growth, right? Revenue growth. And initiatives is manage costs and unused capacity and building strong customer relationships, okay? Building strong customer relationships. And how these initiatives can really turn into profitability, okay? We have a target performance. Okay, we have a target performance, which means for any of these elements, any of these four elements, we always gonna have a benchmark. We always gonna have a benchmark to compare with. Okay, we have our actual performance and we have a target performance, which is our benchmark. Are we achieve the benchmark, which means are we achieve our goals, or we are short on we are short from the benchmark, right? And how much we are short. So how do we improve that performance, right? So if we don't have benchmark, we don't have a measure to compare with, then only looking at the actual performance, we have no clue whether we did a good job or did a better job or did a worse job. It makes sense, right? So next is customer perspective, okay? Customer identifies targeted customer and market segments and measures the company's success in these segments. So we basically to increase market shares and increase customer satisfaction. First, we want to expand our markets. Okay, we have 1 billion or 10 billion, let's say 10 billions market for our products, and out of this 10 billion markets, now we have 20% of market share, which we are generating 2 billion revenues, right? 2 billion revenues. I want to extend our market share as much as possible, right? I want to increase my market share to 90% to realize 9 billions of revenues, okay? So we want to increase that because the more market share we have, the more profitability we're going to have, right? Makes sense. And increase customer satisfaction. Now we have 90% of our market share, but after I fought so hard to gain that 90% of market share, I don't really want piss my customers off by offering some cheap quality products and to make them angry and then turning back on them. All right. So we want to increase our customer satisfaction. I want them to be happy with using our using our products or using our services. All right. So to increase market share, the measure is market share in communication network segment. All right. So what is that? Is identify the future needs of customers. So what you really want to get out of my products, right? So it's not like Apple. Okay, Apple basically is using the other set of strategy, because by the time Steve Jobs is still here with us. Okay, so his idea is really, I don't trust customers in terms of their preferences of products. They don't know how to use products. I am smarter than them. Okay, so basically this is what is his idea. Okay, I'm smarter than them, so I will create something that is more convenient for them to use. So even though it's not clicking right away, but after short period of time, they kind of used to it, and they realize how easily, how conveniently my product feature is in terms of, comparing to the prior products. Okay, so this is not regular business do. Okay, so regular business really is not really saying that this is the product with all these features, go get used to it. Get used to them. No, they really what they're doing is they're trying to get more understanding of the customer's needs, and then incorporate those needs into their products. Okay, incorporate into their products. Okay, so increase customer satisfaction, the number of new customers. Okay, this is also going to increase market share, and customer satisfaction rates its increase customer satisfaction. Okay, and increase customer focus of sales organizations. Okay, increase customer focus of sales organizations. Okay, how they sell their products and how they treat their customers, and then is customers happy enough, or they have some frustrations during the purchase process. Okay, how their experience is. Okay, and also these are the benchmark we compare. Okay, these benchmark we compare, and these are the actual performance. Okay, our target customer satisfaction rate is 90% of customers gave top 2 ratings. Basically, it's 5 stars and 4 stars, right? And our actual performance 87% of customers giving top 2 ratings, and we're 3% short. We're 3% short. And by looking at this from customer perspective, how are we able to increase that 3% of customer satisfaction? That is the question we are asking, and that is the problem we are trying to solve. All right. So these are the problems we are trying to solve. All right. So this is customer perspective. And next is the internal business. Internal business focuses on internal operations that create value for customers, which in turn help achieve financial performance, right? Basically, we understand from customer perspective, we understand what they need, and we are trying to increase their customer satisfaction. But how are we going to do that in terms of product manufacturing process, or in terms of service process? Okay, so that comes to the internal business. How do we operate our business in order to improve product quality and improve customer satisfaction? And here are some activities. Okay, improve post-sale services, improve manufacturing quality and productivity, reduce delivery time to customers, meet specified delivery dates, and improve manufacturing and business process, and improve manufacturing controls. And then the measures is service response time, yields. Okay, how much products we're gonna produce. Okay, and on-time delivery. Okay, on-time delivery, and number of major improvements in manufacturing and business process, percentage of process with advanced controls. So all of these basically is focused on the business operations perspective, how we are able to increase our efficiency or productivity, and increase qualities of products or services from business operations side. Okay, from business operations side. Okay, and here are some of the activities that we can take on to fit all these measures. All right, and then again, these are the benchmark. These are the actual activities, performance. Okay, are the actual performance, and we compare that. See, it's done pretty much better. Okay, we achieved the most of the targets. All right, and then last one is learning and growth. Learning and growth basically is looking at employees' perspective. Okay, looking at from employees' perspective, identify the people and information capabilities necessary for an organization to learn, improve, and grow. These capabilities help achieve superior internal process that in turn create values for customers and shareholders. So in terms of create value for customers to offer more values, offer more features in the product, and then to generate more sales, more revenues, and in turn can create values for shareholders, right? By having more earnings, net incomes, right? So these are some things we're looking at. Align employees and organization goals and empower workforce. Develop employee process skills, enhance information system capabilities. And here are the measures. Employee satisfaction rate, percentage of line workers empowered to manage process, percentage of employees trained in process and quality management, and percentage of manufacturing process with real-time feedback. Okay, and these are the activities we can take on to achieve those measures. Okay, employee participation and suggestion program to build teamwork and have supervisors act as coaches rather than decision makers. An employee training program and improving online and offline data gathering. Okay, so this specifically is talking about enterprise resource information information system. Okay, ERP system. Okay. And ERP system and account information system is part of that ERP system. Okay, and here that really is talk about how we are able to authorize powers or to the frontline workers to arrange their responsibilities and to improve their productivities, and then how we can improve employees' performance by training them and then giving a more accurate or more sufficient information for decision making or some other things. All right. So again, benchmark and this actual performance. Okay, and see most of that we actually achieve all of these targets. Okay, we actually achieve all of these targets. All right. So these are the 4 elements. So balanced scorecard implementation. Now we're talking about how we are able to successfully implement balanced scorecard techniques into the company to serve as the systems for strategy implementation. All right, a successful balanced scorecard implementation must have commitment and leadership from top management. So that is the tone of the top management teams. If the top management teams, they are really not buying in this balanced scorecard skills, techniques, and then it's not going to be working, right? It's sort of it's similar to activity-based costing system. Okay, if you want to implement this thing into your company, you have to get support from most levels of management. Okay, everybody has to acknowledge this and have to support this. Okay, and has to communicate with all employees. And the most important that is different, and the most important thing and is different from implementation of activity-based costing is the last one. For the balanced scorecard to be effective, managers must view it as a fair way to assess and reward all important aspects of a manager's performance and promotion perspective. Okay, so that means you have to align your balanced scorecard, your balanced scorecard measures. You have to align your balanced scorecard measures with your manager's performance measures. Okay, balanced scorecard is not bullshit. Okay, balanced scorecard or not balance sheet. Balanced scorecard measures has to align with your manager's performance measures, because you want your managers to work towards the company's goal, right? You don't want to deviate from your manager's managers' incentives away from company's strategies or goals, right? So you have to create a set of performance measures that consistent with your balance scorecard measures with your company's strategies. Otherwise, this balance scorecard things will not work. Okay, will not work. All right. So these are the common measures that we use in when it comes to balance scorecards. Okay. These are the common measures. And here are some of the measures. Let's see some of the measures. We're going to talk about it in chapter 23rd when it's talk about the compensations and the performance measurements. All right. So you can look at this by yourself. All right. So different strategies lead to different scorecard. That's absolutely correct. Okay. So if you are a product differentiation product company, and then you definitely going to use a different strategy than companies that are targeting the cost leadership strategy, right? So your business operations is different, your goal is different, your target market is different. So all these things are different. So then has to become that your business structure is different, and the way of training your employees to improve productivities, efficiencies also is going to be different. Okay. All right. So what features is what balance scorecard is come to a good balance scorecard? Okay. What really features we need to have a good balance scorecard? And here are several things. All right. First is your balance scorecard has to tell a consistent story. Okay, has to tell a consistent story, and there's causal relationship in the story. Okay, it's not gonna be inconsistent and it's spread all over the places and cannot get put into one piece. Okay, there has to be a complete story. Okay, and it has to be a complete story. And second is you are able to tell the story to everyone inside of the company. Okay, now you have the story, but you are not able to tell it out. Okay, what's the point, right? What is the point of having this story? And it's not interesting, and nobody is getting the story. And what is the point of having this story, right? So we have to be able to efficiently communicate the story from all the levels of employees, top levels management, all the way to the frontline workers. They have to all understand what the company's strategy is, what the performance measures are, what their goals are, right? And then is we have to create some incentives to motivate our employees. Okay, we have to create incentives to motivate employees. Otherwise, we're not going to working, right? We're not going to be working that, right? So we have to have motivations for employees to work towards those goals. And then is you want to keep your balance scorecard measures as simple as possible. Okay, you could have this perfect plan and strategies and have a perfect story, and you can tell the beautiful story out of it, and everybody is understand it, and you have a huge amount of incentives paying to employees to achieve the goals. But at the end of the day, you have a so complicated incentive plans, incentive structures that everybody could not understand the way it is. Okay, then it is still not going to be working, right? You have so many detailed level of measures to control every single activity that employees could have been putting their hands on, and that will limit everything. Okay, and also it will cause confusions. It causes confusion, right? So nobody can really understand the full information if we have thousands of measures, okay? Because it's gonna be written like a textbook, right? Or a dictionary, okay? Things like that, so to speak, okay? And nobody is gonna know everything, okay? So we want to keep it simple. And then last one is we not only use that for sure strategies or for sure measures. If there are some alternatives, okay, we also need to consider those alternatives. If the first best alternative doesn't work, what happens? we need to have some backup plans, right? So then we also need to consider those potential alternatives into our balance scorecard and into our measure designs. Okay, so it's not only being just the one set of things. It could be have different set of things and to serve as a backup plans. All right. So these are the good features. Okay, you are able to come up with the consistent story, and you'll be able to tell it out, and people have motivations inside of your story. That means you have to put them as part of the story, right? They are involved, and then everybody has to clearly understand their roles, their performance, their obligations, their responsibilities, so to speak. And what if things doesn't happen, doesn't work it out? Okay, what if things doesn't work out? Then we have to have some backup plans. So these 5 elements come together, consist a good balanced scorecard. That makes sense? I don't want to really go through all these tedious things. I just want to give you a general idea of these things. Okay, those are very critical. Okay, those are very critical. All right. So the picture here, it talks about basically the same thing as it here, right? You're welcome to read it yourself. So what are the pitfalls in implementing a balanced scorecard? Okay, so first, managers should not assume the causal relationship are precise. They're not very accurate. It's just some hypothesis. We think that is that way, okay? We didn't really test it out. So this is our hypothesis. Whether it's going to work out or not, we don't know yet, okay? So more than likely, we don't know for sure. So this our from performance, from experience, from historical data, so to speak. Okay, we have this type of hypothesis. All right, so we just work with that and come a long way, and probably we need to add it. Adjust our relationship. All right. And second, managers should not seek improvements across all of the measures all of the time. Okay. One thing at a time. All right. Because you have so many elements causally related with each other. If you are or adjusting so many things at the same time and constantly adjusting all these things, really you don't know which elements really make your strategies more effective, right? Because you are moving so many things around at the same time. And the third is managers should not use only objective measures. Subjective measures are important as well, okay? So by far the only objective measures for sure is our financial perspective, okay? The 1 out of 4 elements in the balance scorecard. The other 3, most likely, we're going to use more subjective measures than objective measures, because those things really, you cannot have a set of numbers to tell whether you're doing a good job or not. Okay, so it depends on human judgment. Okay. And despite the challenge of measurement, top management should not ignore non-financial measures when evaluating managers and other employees, so to speak, right? So you have to use non-financial measures to evaluate, or let's say another way of saying this is to compensate employees, because really if we're only using financial information, it is not that fair. Okay, so for example, if we're looking at the sales figures, okay, your sales figures compared to last year is decreasing, so you didn't do a good job this year. But actually, it's probably not the case, because if you're looking at last year and this year, and we have this pandemic going on, there's nobody could buy anything from your company. It doesn't matter how hard you work. Does that make sense? Okay, you have to put in other factors into consideration when it's come to evaluate performance and compensate employees. Otherwise, you are discouraging your employees. You have demotivated them, and your goals will not be achieved through that, some kind of analysis. All right. So evaluating the success of strategies and implementations. Okay, so to evaluate how successful a company's strategy and implementation has been, its management must compare the target with actual performance columns in the balance scorecard. That's what we are saying, that we have to compare our actual performance with our target or benchmark. You could use this chart, or you can use this pie chart to compare your actual and your target performance. Okay, so for here, 2014, it is really your actual performance. Your actual performance is 40% of target, and 15 is 60% of the target performance. And then comes to year of 16, we achieved our target and exceed target by 22%. Okay, so all these are different report you can prepare to generate this kind of analysis. All right. And now it's come to balance scorecard internal perspective and external perspective. Whether we implement a successful balance scorecard, it depends on these two elements. Okay, so first, internally, if a company does not meet its targets on the two perspective, that is learning and growth and internal business process, it would conclude that it didn't implement its strategy because it did not implement the activities that would give it competitive advantage. What it means is that if we're really not seeing anything improved in learning growth and internal business process, that means we didn't change very much in terms of our business operations, in terms of employee training, in terms of employee quality and operations efficiency, right? If we're not able to achieve these goals, that means nobody inside of your organizations is really taking serious of your balance scorecard things. That makes sense? Nobody's care about that, right? So and nobody is actually using that. So that is because that is why these two things doesn't really have anything changed. Okay. So then when internal learning and growth and internal business operations, these things are not really in place. Let's say we're saying that we are failed to implement balance scorecard. Okay, we are failed into in implementing a balance scorecard. And it comes to the external talking about the customer and financial perspective. Okay, customer and financial perspective. So remember, balance scorecard, we have 4 elements: financial, customer, and internal business process, and learning and growth, right? So if financial and customer, these two measures or these two perspectives doesn't have any positive change, or doesn't even have any change, that means even though we successfully implement our strategy, our balance scorecard, but all these internal activities, all these change done internally doesn't transit into the ultimate customer satisfaction or financial profitability. Okay, so that means even though we did some change here internally, but it is not effective at all. It is not effective at all. Make sense? Because it didn't result in extra dollars of earnings. Make sense? Or improved customer satisfaction rate. Okay. All right. So strategic analysis of operating income. Okay, to evaluate the success of a strategy, managers and management accountants need to link strategy to the sources of operating income increase. So financially, right? Financial perspective. Okay, so how do we analyze that? Okay, first is the growth. Okay, is the growth. What is growth? The change in operating income, whether our operating income is increased. Okay, whether we see our earnings is on the upward trend. Okay, upward trend is solely to the change in quantity of output sold between years. Okay, do we sell more this year than last year or not? Okay, so this is, we want to see our business growth in terms of sales revenues or sales numbers. Okay, second is the price recovery component. Also, it is change in operating income, and it's only the change in price of inputs and outputs between years. Okay, do we actually produce our product efficiently and by reducing costs, and then by charging more? And this comment measures the change in revenues as a result of change in output price compared to the changes in cost as a result of change in input price. So basically, this thing is we want to see our contribution margin per unit increase. That means we are producing this product more efficiently. Okay, more efficiently. Okay, so that's price recovery components. We can earn more contribution margins than before. Okay, and the last one is productivity component. It is change in cost to the change in quantity of input used in current years relative to quantity of inputs that would have been used in the prior year to produce current product. Okay, also this talks about, even though it's changing cost, but these two kind of interrelated with each other, it all focuses on contribution margin per unit. Okay, so all these things together is talk about strategic analysis of operating income. How can we increase our profitability? Okay, how can we increase our profitability? Through growth of sales and increase contribution margin per unit. And by doing that, either we increase sales or decrease purchasing price of the materials, or decreasing the material quantity used, quantity of materials usage. Okay, the usage of materials. Okay, so these are the elements. And how do we measure that, right? How do we measure that? We need to compare that the target with our actual performance, and which means we're gonna have a set of benchmark and then compare with our actual performance, right? Actual performance. And here is the list of equations we're going to use to analyze the operating income performance. Okay, from three perspectives: growth components, price recovery components, and productivity components. All right, and they are on the specific slides here. It indicates after the formula. Okay, so let's pick one to illustrate this: the revenue effect of growth. The revenue effect of growth. Okay, so here revenue effect of growth equals bracket. Okay, actual units of output sold in the current period minus actual units of output in the prior period, and multiply prior period selling price. Okay, prior period selling price. Okay, so revenue effect of growth is how many more units we've sold comparing to last year. Okay, why are we using last year selling price? Because really it's a historical data that you could have used the current year selling price as well. Okay, so it's not really that matter. Okay, as long as you have this, just the comparison, right? So some companies that do use the current year, and which according to this book is not right, and theoretically it's not right, but again it's doable. All right, it's doable. And here, cost effect of growth for variable cost: units of output. Okay, bracket, units of output required to produce current output in the prior period, actual units of input used to produce prior units output, and times prior period input prices. Okay, so it's usage of input, right? Then this comes to the cost size. So basically we're looking at revenue size and cost size from these three different perspectives to talk about operating income performance. All right, so on and so forth. You can see that always going to be the actual of this year comparing to actual of last year, and multiply by something, and it's some effect for each one of these three perspectives. All right, so you can look at these by yourself. Okay, current selling price, prior selling price, and current period units sold. Okay, revenue effect of price recovery. Okay, same thing. All right, similar thing. Okay, always current period prior to comparing to last period. All right, So you can look at this yourself, all right? And once it's come to this formula for productivity and cost effect and things, you need to be able to locate the appropriate formula to calculate the specific analysis, all right? So get familiar with that. And now it's come to the revenue cost operating income analysis. Changes in operating income. And changes in operating income in total is $2,975,000. F means favorable, right? U means unfavorable. Favorable means we earned more than last year. Okay, you see here is income of 17, and here is income of 16, and we earned more than in 2017 than in 2016, right? So we earned more than that is favorite. And which elements? So how do we have this $2,975,000 variance? And we break this variance down to this revenue and cost effect of growth components, okay, and the revenue and cost effect of price recovery components, and cost effect of productivity components, okay. All these three comes to that total favorable variances between this year and last year, okay. And then because we have so many detailed information, we are able to know which part we should have improved on. That makes sense? We should improve on, okay. And then we can come with some ways to improve that price recovery efficiency, right? Because this is unfavorable. Make sense? All right. Now we're talking about is downsizing and management of processing capacity. So when it's come to manufacturing companies or even service companies, okay, we are focusing more on we're focusing more on unused capacity, and then we think of, okay, so downsizing, all right. Managers can reduce capacity-based fixed cost by measuring and manage unused capacity. And unused capacity is the amount of productive capacity available over and above the productive capacity employed to meet consumer demand in a current period. To better understand this concept of unused capacity, it is necessary to distinguish engineering cost from discretionary costs. Okay, so basically, when it's come to unused capacity, are we need to downsize our capacity? Are we going to use the unused capacity for some other purpose, right? So sometimes downsizing, it is not a bad thing. Okay, downsizing sometimes it is not a bad thing. In other words, saying this is that we are trying to improve our productivity, so we are downsizing our capacity. Okay, so it happens to the best of us too, right? So everyone will not avoid downsizing at all. Okay, it could happen to everyone. Okay, it could happen to everyone. All right. So analysis of unused capacity, engineered or discretionary costs. Engineered costs result from a causal relationship, and that cost driver output and the indirect or direct resources used to produce that product. Engineered costs are a detailed, physically observable, and repetitive relationship with output. Okay, so to speak, it's kind of like direct and indirect cost, but still it has a causal relationship with the product or cost object. Okay, so by producing more products, you're going to incur more costs, and those costs are engineered costs. Okay, so more products you have, more costs you have. Okay, and discretionary costs have two components. They rise from periodic, usually annual, decisions regarding the maximum amount of to be incurred, and they are no measurable causal and effect relationship between output or resources. So it's kind of like a fixed cost, right? It doesn't change with number of units produced, and it doesn't really change with activity level. Okay, so discretionary cost here is very similar to fixed cost. Okay, and engineered cost is very similar to variable cost, right? So we have direct variable cost and indirect variable cost. Okay, so it's doesn't matter if you have a explicit causal relationship or not. It is varied with the output level, then it's engineering cost. If it really doesn't affect by output activity level, then it's discretionary cost. Okay, as long as we invested that in, done deal. Okay, will not be changed by any other decisions in the future. Okay. All right, so managing unused capacity. First, we can downsize it to the right capacity, okay, and to the right capacity and to increase proficiency and reduce costs, okay. Downsizing often means eliminating jobs which can adversely affect employees' more loyalty and culture of a business. So it's not a good thing to do, but sometimes in terms of long-term perspective, it is good for a company's growth. But short-term speaking, it is not good because it will not satisfy everyone who involved in this downsizing process. Okay, so when it's come to this decision whether we need to downsizing or not, it's not only about just simply cut down your capacity or shut down your business or close door of your stores, not simply like that, okay? You have a lot of things to deal with, like employees, compensation, and lawsuit stuff, and so on and so forth, okay? So when we talk about unused capacity, downsizing, it is used by companies a lot. You see Macy's close out their retail stores, and Target and some other stores, some companies as well, some other companies as well, okay? So it is something happens a lot, but it does really have some adverse effects. So when we come to that, we have to think about all these things together. All right, so this is about chapter 12. All right, so, and please read, review that all those equations. Then you are able to work on the computational problems. All right. Really, it's not a goal of this course. The goal of this course is we're using that type of information to make strategies, to analyze company's performance and to make up strategies, right? But first of all, you have to know how to calculate the accurate number, how to use the appropriate equations, right? So be patient with that, and the better you know this, the more efficient you're gonna be you're gonna be dealing with your final projects. All right. So I'll see you in next video. Bye.